Success isn't about telling the world what you're going to do. It's about quietly doing it and letting your results speak for themselves. We've all seen people who boast about their dreams, yet never follow through. The difference between those who talk and those who succeed is action. If you want to achieve real success, you need to stop talking about it and start working toward it in silence. In this video, I'm going to show you why keeping your goals private is the key to staying focused, disciplined, and ultimately achieving greatness. It's time to stop seeking attention and start building your success without anyone knowing. By the end of this video, you'll understand how silence and hard work lead to bigger wins than any loud declaration ever could. Stick with me, and I'll show you how to win without ever having to say a word. Number 1, protect your focus by keeping your goals private. When I first started out on my journey of personal growth and self-discipline, I thought I had to tell everyone everything. I thought sharing my goals with people would make me feel stronger, more confident, and more committed. But I learned something very different, something that changed how I work, how I grow, and how I succeed. I learned the value of silence. I learned the power of keeping things to myself. When you're serious about changing your life, you don't need the whole world's permission to get started. You don't need validation. You don't need applause. You need focus. You need clarity. And the truth is, the more you talk about what you're going to do, the more you risk losing that focus. You think you're building momentum by telling people your plans, but you're actually giving away the energy that should be fueling your discipline. Every time you talk about your goals, you feel a little burst of pride. It feels good. You imagine what success will look like. You picture it, but that image can become a distraction. It gives you a false sense of accomplishment. Talking feels like doing, but it's not. It's a trap, and too many people fall into it. They talk, and they talk, and they talk, and then they stop moving. When you keep your goals private, you protect them. You guard them like something sacred, because they are. Your goals are not just ideas, they're promises you make to yourself, and promises need protection. Not everyone around you understands what you're building. Some will doubt you, some will envy you, some will quietly hope you fail. And if you hand your dreams to those kinds of people, you're putting them at risk. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. Not when you know what you're doing. Not when you're working day after day, improving, learning, staying disciplined. Success does not require an audience. Success requires effort. And when you're fully focused on your own path, when you're not looking over your shoulder or waiting for others to cheer you on, that's when real progress happens. I meet people all the time who say they want to change their lives. They say they want to grow. They say they want to reach the next level. But then they go out and post every little step they take. They seek likes. They seek approval. But the approval of others should never come before your own self-respect. If you're only working hard because people are watching, what happens when no one is watching? Do you stop? You have to get used to working in the dark. You have to get used to growing in silence. That's where the real transformation happens. In the quiet hours when no one sees what you're doing. In the early mornings when you show up for yourself. In the late nights when you choose discipline over comfort. That's where champions are built. And that's where your energy should stay. Private, focused, controlled. When you keep your goals private, you gain something powerful. You gain control over your mind. You're not reacting to other people's comments or expectations. You're not distracted by what they think you should be doing. You know what you need to do. And you're doing it quietly, consistently. You also avoid the pressure that comes from talking too much. When you tell people what you're working on, suddenly there's pressure. They start asking questions. They start checking in. And now you're not just trying to grow, you're trying to meet their expectations too. That's too much weight. That's not freedom. That's not discipline. That's distraction. Real focus is quiet. It's sharp. It doesn't need to be seen. It doesn't need to be heard. It just needs to be followed. When you're focused, you're not explaining yourself. You're not proving anything to anyone. You're doing the work. You're making progress. You're getting better every day. And eventually, people notice, not because you told them, but because they see the results. There's something deeply powerful about moving in silence. You don't need to hide from the world, but you don't need to perform for it either. Your goals are your responsibility. Your growth is your business. No one else needs to be involved until you've built something real, something undeniable. Then when it shows, and you won't need to say a word. It's easy to fall into the habit of talking. It feels productive. It feels exciting. But if you talk more than you act, you're slowing yourself down. You're burning energy on things that don't move the needle. You don't need to impress anyone with your plans. You need to impress yourself with your results. And that only comes through focused work, not public announcements. There's a strength that comes from working quietly. It teaches you patience. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you how to depend on yourself. And when things get tough, and they always do, you won't be looking around for someone to rescue you. You'll be ready. You'll be strong. You'll have built something solid inside. The more private your focus, the stronger it becomes. No noise, no distraction, just you and the next step, and then the next day after day. That's how you build something great. Not with noise, not with words, but with relentless action behind the scenes. When I was younger, I used to think I had to prove myself to everyone. I thought if I told them my plans, they'd respect me. But it doesn't work that way. People respect results, not promises. And results come from doing the hard work quietly. So if you're working on something important, keep it close. Don't rush to share it. Don't broadcast it. Build it, strengthen it, grow it. Let it develop without the weight of outside opinions. Protect your energy by staying focused. And remember, the people who matter don't need explanations. And the ones who demand explanations often don't matter. People will doubt you whether you talk or stay silent. That's just how it is. But if you keep your head down and do the work, eventually they'll see something they can't ignore, your results. And by then, you won't need to explain anything. Your progress will do the talking. Your results will speak for you. Some people won't understand this. They'll tell you to be more open. They'll say you should share your goals for accountability. But you don't need to be accountable to everyone. Be accountable to yourself. Be accountable to your future. That's enough. That's where the real fire comes from. You'll be surprised how much progress you make when you're not wasting energy trying to convince others you're making progress. Use that energy to stay disciplined. Use it to get stronger. Use it to build something that makes you proud. And when you're ready to show the world, show them something real. Show them what silence and focus can create. So if you're chasing something big, protect your mind from noise. Keep your goals private. Stay focused. Trust your process. Silence is not weakness. Silence is power. It means you're serious. It means you're committed. It means you don't need attention. You need results. And the best part is, when you stay quiet and focus, you stop comparing. You stop trying to keep up. You stop worrying about what others think. You get in tune with yourself. And you start moving forward in a way that feels real, that feels right. Protecting your focus doesn't mean cutting people off. It means setting boundaries around your energy. It means knowing what to share and what to keep close. It means choosing peace over noise, clarity over chaos, action over talk. You are not here to impress others with your plans. You are here to build something meaningful, something lasting. And that only happens when you take your focus seriously, when you protect it, when you guard it like your future depends on it. Because it does. So don't tell people what you're working on. Don't announce your every move. Keep your fire burning quietly. Focus on your next step. Let your results do the talking. Stay disciplined. Stay quiet. Stay dangerous in your silence. And when you win, you won't need to explain anything. The world will see it. The world will feel it. Keep working. Keep improving. Keep everything that matters close to your heart. That's how you win. Not with noise, not with promises, but with quiet strength, with daily effort, with focused discipline. That's where real power lives. In silence, in action, in results. Number 2, build your success quietly, without telling anyone anything. Success is a very personal thing. It starts in your mind, it grows in your actions, and it lives in your habits. It doesn't require permission, and it doesn't need an audience. The moment you decide that you're serious about building something real, the smartest move you can make is to stay quiet, not out of fear, not out of secrecy, but out of strength. Because when you're serious about your path, You realize that talking about it doesn't build it. Doing the work does. There's a strange pressure people put on themselves these days to broadcast everything. They think success starts with a post, a conversation, a public statement. But if you've got to tell people you're working hard, maybe you're more interested in how it looks than how it really is. If you're busy telling the world what you're going to do, who are you trying to convince, them or yourself? You don't need anyone to clap for you while you're still learning how to show up for yourself. That's not how real success works. Real success isn't loud. It's not desperate for attention. It's disciplined. It's patient. It's committed when nobody's watching. That's what separates those who reach real goals from those who just want to be seen chasing them. Think about how different your life would be if you used the time and energy you spend explaining yourself to actually work. Every minute you spend trying to impress someone is a minute you could spend improving something. You don't get stronger by talking. You get stronger by grinding it out when no one knows your name, when no one is clapping, when no one cares. That's when it counts. One of the most powerful things you can do for your growth is to stay under the radar while you build yourself up. There's no need to announce your plans. There's no need to check in with everyone. Your success doesn't need to be a community project. It needs to be your personal responsibility, something you own fully, something you protect, something you nurture without noise. When you stay quiet, you give yourself room to breathe. You give yourself space to fail and get back up without judgment. You don't have to perform. You don't have to pretend. You just have to show up, do the work, learn, adjust, keep going. No pressure to impress, just pure, focused commitment to growth. You'll find that the less you talk about what you're doing, the more energy you have to actually do it. You're not drained by the opinions of others. You're not distracted by the need to prove yourself. You're not seeking validation. You're locked in on the goal. That kind of quiet focus, it sharpens you. It makes you dangerous in the best way. There's something powerful about staying humble while you build. It's not weakness. It's not hesitation. It's strength in its purest form. It's the strength of someone who knows they're building something worth waiting for. Someone who isn't looking for recognition. Someone who's in it for the real growth, not the quick approval. You don't need permission to win. You don't need a crowd to clap. You don't need to explain your dreams to people who don't share them. Most people won't understand what drives you anyway. They haven't lived your life. They haven't seen your vision. So why waste time trying to get them on board? Use that time to make progress. Use that time to build. You'll notice something when you stop telling people what you're working on. You'll notice that some people disappear. That's not a bad thing. The people who only stick around when they're in your business, those aren't your people. The ones who stay quiet and support you even when they don't know all the details, those are the ones who get it. The ones who respect your silence. The ones who see your actions and not just your words. And what happens when you start making real progress in private? You start building confidence that doesn't come from applause. It comes from repetition. It comes from effort. It comes from knowing what it took to get there. No shortcuts, no fake hype, just you, your discipline and your results. Success built in silence is rooted in strength. Because nobody can take credit for it. Nobody can interfere with it. Nobody can shape it but you. It belongs to you fully. It's yours because you earned it. Not because you talked about it, but because you lived it. Step by step, decision by decision. You owe it to yourself to create something solid before you share it with the world. There's no rush. The world isn't going anywhere. And when your time comes, when the results show up, you won't need to speak loudly. The results will say everything for you. The changes in your life will speak louder than anything you could have said with your mouth. And if people don't notice right away, that's fine too. You're not doing this for attention. You're doing this for transformation. You're doing this for the life you know you deserve. You're doing this for the quiet peace that comes from knowing you stayed true to your path, even when no one was cheering for you. There's a lot of noise out there. A lot of people performing. A lot of people trying to look like they've made it before they've even started. Don't fall into that trap. Don't waste your time trying to look successful. Spend your time becoming successful. Let your actions carry the weight. Let your work speak the truth. Staying quiet doesn't mean you're small. It means you're focused. It means you're clear. It means you've got your eyes on something bigger than likes and claps. You've got your eyes on the life you're building. And that life will not be built by performance. It will be built by consistency, by persistence, by discipline. You'll get farther when you stop trying to be seen and start trying to be solid. When you stop needing people to understand and start making sure you understand yourself. That's what maturity looks like. That's what long-term success demands. It demands that you rise above distraction, that you stop giving your energy to things that don't build you, that you focus fully on what matters. And here's something else you need to hear. When you build your success quietly, you build it in a way that lasts. You're not chasing trends. You're not doing things to impress. You're doing what works. You're testing. You're adjusting. You're learning. You're not afraid of failing because no one's watching. That freedom gives you room to grow. It gives you power. Most people never give themselves that space. They're too busy being loud, too busy trying to stay relevant. But the truth is, relevance fades. Real strength doesn't. And if you can stay committed in silence, when no one is watching, you're building the kind of foundation that no one can shake. That's how real success is built. Not through noise, not through hype, but through commitment, through hard choices, through silent battles, through early mornings and late nights that no one will ever see. But you'll feel it, and eventually others will feel it too. Not because you told them, but because you became something they couldn't ignore. You have nothing to prove. You have something to build. Focus on that. Focus on becoming. Focus on doing the work that matters, even when no one's around to notice. Because your success isn't a performance, it's a process. And the more you stay locked in, the more unstoppable you become. Every day you choose discipline over distraction, you get closer. Every time you show up for yourself, you win. Not publicly, not loudly, but deeply. That kind of victory, it's quiet, it's personal, but it changes everything. So make your decision now. Will you keep talking about it? Or will you do it? Will you keep announcing every move? Or will you build something real? The path is clear. The choice is yours. Build your success quietly, without telling anyone anything. Watch how your life changes when your energy isn't scattered. Watch how your results multiply when your mind is fully yours. This is your time, not to talk, not to explain, but to do, to build, to grow, quietly, fully, relentlessly. Number 3, show your progress through actions, not loud words. Most people spend too much time talking about where they want to be, and too little time actually working to get there. They speak as if their words alone can move mountains, as if announcing a goal is the same as reaching it. But that's not how real progress works. You don't earn respect with noise. You earn it by showing up, staying disciplined, and proving it through consistent actions that nobody can deny. The world doesn't need to hear your plans. The world needs to see your growth. It needs to see how you show up when you're tired, how you stay focused when you're tempted, how you stay patient when nothing is working yet. These are the moments that speak the loudest. Not tweets, not conversations, not long speeches about your dreams. Actions. Actions that prove you're serious. Actions that make it clear you're not waiting to be seen. You're working to be better. There's something powerful about being the person who just does the work without announcing it. While others waste time trying to sound impressive, you build your life step by step. You're not concerned with appearing successful. You're focused on becoming someone who cannot be ignored, because the results are real. And when your results speak for you, you don't have to chase validation. It comes on its own. Nobody needs to know what you're planning to do. What they need to see is who you've become over time. That quiet transformation, that invisible effort, that daily discipline. That's what makes people pay attention. Not your promises, but your progress. Not your words, but your work. Not your intentions, but your outcomes. If you've been spending time explaining your goals to people who aren't invested in your growth, stop. You don't owe anyone explanations for why you're changing. Your reasons are yours. Your focus belongs to you. The only thing that matters is that you're moving forward. Even if it's slow, even if no one sees it yet. That movement, that commitment, that's what will set you apart in the long run. People will forget what you said, but they won't forget what you did. They won't forget how you handled challenges, how you kept going when it was hard, how you got better without needing to tell everyone. That's the kind of impression that lasts. It's not made in a moment. It's made over time, through effort, through persistence, through showing up again and again. You're not here to be loud. You're here to be real. And real progress is quiet. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't need to be dressed up. It stands on its own. It walks into a room and changes the atmosphere without saying a word. That's the kind of presence you earn through action, through growth, through rising above excuses and distractions, and excuses. And the best part, nobody can fake that. You can't fake real discipline. You can't fake improvement. You can't fake the kind of transformation that comes from doing the work day after day. That's why actions are more powerful than words. Because anyone can talk, but only a few will actually follow through. Only a few will live it. You have a choice to make every single day. Do I want to be heard, or do I want to be respected? Do I want to sound good, or do I want to become great? You can't have both at the same time. The more you talk, the more energy you lose. The more you act, the more momentum you build. The people who win in life are the ones who understand this early. Every time you choose action over words, you invest in yourself. You make a deposit into your character, your skill, your growth. You start becoming someone who doesn't need attention to stay motivated. You get your motivation from the progress itself, from the quiet satisfaction that you did something hard, and you didn't quit. That's where the real power lives. It's easy to talk about what you want. It's harder to live in a way that brings it to life. That's why most people never make it. They stay stuck in the talking phase. They say the same things every year. They recycle the same goals. But the ones who separate themselves, they're the ones who start acting without making announcements. They stop telling the world, and they start showing the world, and they don't stop. If you want to grow, you have to train yourself to care more about your habits than your hype, because hype fades fast. But your habits, they shape your future. They build your strength. They prepare you for the moments that matter. And when your habits are aligned with your goals, your life starts to shift in ways that no amount of talking could ever do. There's a level of peace that comes when you stop trying to impress people with your plans. You stop performing. You stop explaining. You get focused. You get serious. You start waking up with one goal: get better today. That's it. No need to explain how. No need to prove anything. Just improve. Just act. Just build. And over time, that kind of mindset changes everything. You become more confident because your confidence isn't built on hype. It's built on evidence. You've done the work. You've been through the struggle. You've stayed consistent when no one was watching. That kind of confidence can't be shaken because it's real. The truth is, if you're serious about growing, you'll realize that words are cheap. Anybody can post a quote. Anybody can say they're grinding, but the ones who are really out there putting in the hours, they don't have time to talk. They're too busy doing what needs to be done. They don't need to be loud. Their actions are loud enough. So if you're wondering how to show the world who you really are, don't tell them, show them. Through your choices, through your discipline, through how you carry yourself when it's tough, through how you keep going even when no one's cheering, through the small things you do daily that no one sees, but that change your life from the inside out. It's not about proving anything to others. It's about proving to yourself that you can do it, that you're not someone who just talks. You're someone who shows up, someone who finishes what they start, someone who lets their actions speak with clarity, power, and truth. And that truth is unshakable. It doesn't rely on praise. It doesn't depend on opinions. It lives in your results. It's in the way your life starts to shift, the way your mind gets sharper, the way your standards rise, the way you stop settling for less than your best. That's how you show your progress. Progress is not always visible right away, and that's okay. You don't need it to be. You just need to trust your process, trust your effort, trust that every action you take is building something real. You don't owe the world an explanation every time you grow. You don't need to broadcast every small win. You just need to keep going, keep improving, keep becoming. When your actions align with your purpose, the noise fades. You stop seeking approval. You stop chasing applause. You find power in staying grounded. You become focused on building something that lasts, not something that just looks good. And the people who truly matter will notice when it's time. You won't have to say a word. The reward for all your quiet work is not just success, it's who you become in the process. Someone who doesn't break when life gets hard. Someone who knows how to lead themselves. Someone who doesn't just talk about change, they live it, they embody it, and eventually that becomes your legacy. A lot of people are trying to be impressive. They want to be seen. But the most impressive people aren't the loudest. They're the most consistent, the most focused, the ones who take quiet steps every day that lead to big changes over time. They know what they want, and they work for it, without the noise. So if you're serious about leveling up, stop explaining, stop performing, stop hoping someone notices. Start acting, start improving, start making decisions that show you're not who you used to be. Let people see your transformation, not hear about it. Let your habits speak for you. Let your effort be your message. You don't need fancy words to make an impact. You need real work. You need real discipline. You need real growth. That's what people remember. That's what people respect. So start being the person who shows progress through action, not loud words. Live it, prove it, earn it, one day at a time. Number 4, cut out bragging and let results speak louder. Bragging feels good in the moment, but it's the fastest way to lose the very respect you're trying to earn. You might get a few claps, a few compliments, maybe a bit of attention, but that fades. That approval is short-lived because people can see through empty words. They can tell when someone's more interested in being admired than in actually building something meaningful. If you really want people to respect you, stop telling them what you've done and start showing them what you're doing, silently, consistently, and powerfully. Nobody respects noise for long. They respect results, real results, solid wins, quiet moves that change your life while everyone else is still talking. That's what makes people stop and pay attention. You can't fake discipline. You can't fake consistency, and you definitely can't fake progress. That's why it's better to put your energy into building instead of boasting. Because when your life starts to shift, people will see it. You won't have to explain it. They'll feel it in your presence, in your energy, in how you carry yourself. People think bragging makes them look strong. It doesn't. It exposes insecurity. Bragging is often a sign that someone is more focused on how they appear than on who they're becoming. That kind of mindset won't take you far. It drains you. It distracts you. It traps you in a loop where you're constantly performing for others instead of focusing on growth. And if you're always performing, you never get around to actually improving. Real strength is quiet. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need a confirmation. It just needs effort. And the people who win the long game are the ones who get obsessed with effort, not with proving anything. They build in silence. They evolve in silence. And when the time is right, their work speaks so loud no words are necessary. You've got to decide what you want more, to be admired for a moment, or to be respected for a lifetime. One is fast and easy. It just takes a loud voice and a few flashy posts. The other takes years of patience, sacrifice, and discipline. But the second one changes your life in ways bragging never could. Because once you build something real, you don't have to ask for recognition. It shows up whether you ask for it or not. In the real world, results are what matter. You can say whatever you want, but people will look at your life. They'll look at how you live, how you work, how you handle pressure, how you treat others. That's the stuff that sticks. That's what tells the truth. You don't need to scream about your achievements if they're real. You just need to keep growing, keep working, keep showing up every single day. Most of the people you see bragging are doing it for attention, because attention feels like validation. But validation is a trap. If you depend on it, you'll never feel satisfied unless someone's clapping for you. You'll keep trying to impress people instead of impressing yourself. You'll keep chasing approval instead of chasing progress, and you'll lose your focus in the process. You don't need to tell anyone what you're doing. Just do it. You don't need to tell them what you've done. Let them see it when they're supposed to. Keep your head down, work, improve, get stronger, build character, stack wins, and trust that those wins will show up in your life in ways nobody can ignore. That's how you create real impact. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet are the quietest. They don't speak much about what they're working on, but you can see the results in their discipline, their mindset, their self-control. That's the level you want to be at, where you don't need to say anything. Your energy, your work ethic, your results do the talking. Cutting out bragging isn't just about humility. It's about efficiency. Every moment you spend trying to impress people is a moment you could have used to build something that actually matters. You could have used that time to sharpen your skills, improve your habits, or fix your weaknesses. But you gave it away in exchange for a few compliments that won't even matter tomorrow. The people who are actually doing well in life don't have time to brag. They're too focused on staying sharp, on staying ready, on preparing for what's next. They understand that every time they get caught up in showing off, they lose their edge, they lose their focus. So they stay low, stay locked in, and keep moving forward. That's what separates them. You've got to stop craving attention and start craving growth. Growth isn't flashy. It's not something you can show off every day. Sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's invisible, but it's always worth it because it turns you into someone who can handle pressure, lead yourself, and keep going when everything around you feels heavy. You want to build a reputation that comes from consistency, not from noise. And you do that by showing up when nobody's watching, by doing the work even when you're not getting praise, by pushing yourself to do better when you could have stayed the same. That's how you earn trust. That's how you gain real confidence, not from attention, but from action. Your results should shock people. They should come out of nowhere. One day they look at you and think, when did this happen? That's the power of working in silence. Nobody sees the struggle, but everybody sees the growth. They don't see the early mornings, the late nights, the sacrifices, but they see the transformation. The truth is, when you stop talking and start building, your life begins to shift. You feel more in control. You get clear on what matters. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop needing to prove anything. You just work. You just get better. And that creates momentum. And momentum creates confidence. And confidence creates results. All without saying a word. There's something rare about someone who can do great things and still stay grounded. That kind of character is built in silence, in private, away from the spotlight. It comes from focusing on becoming, not performing. From choosing discipline over attention. From valuing truth over perception. If you really want to lead yourself to a higher level, you need to train yourself to keep your wins to yourself. Not forever, but until they're undeniable, until they've matured, until they're real enough that nobody can question them. That's how you protect your progress. That's how you make sure your growth isn't just a show, it's real. You don't need to tell the world how good you are. You need to be good. You don't need to post about every step you take. You need to take more steps. You need to grow where nobody's watching, win where nobody's clapping, succeed where nobody expects it. That's how you win in real life. That's how you get ahead without noise. Bragging puts the focus on perception. Action puts the focus on results. And in the long run, results always win. They're permanent. They're measurable. They can't be taken away. So aim for those. Aim for wins that nobody gave to you and nobody can take from you. Aim for strength that was built when nobody believed in you. That's real. Don't rob yourself of growth by trying to impress people too early. Let your journey speak when it's ready. Stay hungry. Stay quiet. Stay consistent. One day the world will ask how you did it, and you won't need to say a word. The results will say everything. So if you're serious about becoming the best version of yourself, make a decision right now. Cut out the bragging. Focus on the work. Let every hour you invest in yourself build a life that speaks volumes. Your results will always speak louder than your voice ever could. Let them. Number 5, stay low-key and let success reveal your grind. You don't need to announce what you're doing when you're serious about making real progress. In fact, the more focused you are on your goals, the less you care about broadcasting them. There's power in being low-key. There's strength in keeping your mouth shut while you grind. Not because you're hiding, because you're locked in. Because you know the only thing that deserves attention is the result, not the plan, not the idea, the result. A lot of people want to be seen working instead of doing the actual work. They want to look motivated instead of being disciplined. They post every move, talk about every goal, and show off every step, hoping to get recognition before anything real has even happened. That's a trap. Because the more you chase recognition, the more you drift from your purpose. You end up doing things to impress people, not to improve yourself. You stop building for your future and start performing for attention. That's a dangerous road. But the people who win long term, the ones who really shift their life, they don't move like that. They don't need to. They work when nobody's watching. They sacrifice quietly. They stay low while the world stays loud. They know success doesn't come from noise. It comes from commitment. And the deeper your commitment, the less time you have to prove anything to anybody. It's not about being secretive. It's about staying focused. When you stay low key, you don't get caught up in distractions. You don't waste energy on showing off. You don't feed your ego. You feed your hunger. You stay in your lane. You keep your circle tight. You sharpen your discipline. That's how you build a version of yourself that doesn't need attention to stay motivated. That kind of power is rare, and it's earned. You've got to be okay with not being seen while you're working. You've got to be okay with being misunderstood for a while. You've got to be okay with people underestimating you, not knowing what you're up to, not seeing your progress yet. Because when you're doing it right, your growth isn't always visible right away. Sometimes it's internal. Sometimes it's in the mindset you're building, the pain you're pushing through, the habits you're changing. That kind of success takes time to show up. But when it does, it's undeniable. Every day you grind quietly, you're planting seeds. You don't need to explain what you're doing. The right people will see it when the time comes. Your results will introduce you. Your energy will shift. Your confidence will grow. Not the kind of fake confidence that comes from praise, but the real kind that comes from putting in the work and seeing the growth in your own reflection. When you stay low-key, you protect your peace. You don't let the pressure of other people's opinions control your pace. You don't start racing because someone else is ahead of you. You stay patient. You move with intention. You know you're not just chasing short-term wins. You're building a solid foundation. And that kind of foundation doesn't need validation. It needs consistency. The people who talk the most often do the least. They depend on attention to keep going. When the applause stops, so does their motivation. That's a weak position to live from. But when you grind in silence, your motivation comes from a different place. It comes from the desire to grow. It comes from the pain you felt, the vision you have, the promise you made to yourself to be better, stronger, sharper. That fire can't be faked, and it can't be stopped by a lack of attention. Staying low-key gives you clarity. It gives you time to learn without pressure. It gives you space to fail and figure it out without being judged. And in those moments, those long, lonely, quiet hours, you become someone different, someone better. You become the kind of person who doesn't crumble under stress, who doesn't break when things get tough, because you've already been there. You've already pushed through worse. You've already built mental strength when nobody saw it happening. That's the secret most people don't understand. You're not supposed to be loud when you're building. You're supposed to be locked in. Building quietly is a sign of respect for the process, for your future self, and for the path you're walking. It means you're not just doing this for show. You're doing this because you're serious, because you're tired of talking, because now it's about proving something to yourself. You don't need to prove anything to people who don't understand your grind. Most of them wouldn't last a week in your shoes. They haven't seen the nights you stayed up fighting self-doubt. They haven't watched you struggle to stay disciplined. They haven't felt the fear you had to push through just to take the first step. And that's why you owe it to yourself to keep moving. Even if no one claps, even if no one gets it, even if no one sees it yet. The truth is, success doesn't reveal itself early. It hides while you build. It waits until the work is done. And when it shows up, it doesn't come quietly. It comes big. It shows up in how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you handle stress, how you treat others, how you live. That's the kind of success that speaks louder than any words ever could. You can't fake that. You can't post your way to that. You can't talk your way into becoming that person. You have to become it, slowly, quietly. One disciplined day at a time, one hard decision at a time, one early morning at a time. You earn it by staying low and working deep. While others are busy explaining their plans, you're out there making moves. While they're chasing attention, you're chasing mastery. That's how you win in real life. The grind is ugly before it's beautiful. It's confusing before it's clear. It's lonely before it's respected. But if you stick with it, if you keep showing up without needing an audience, you'll look back one day and realize your silence was your power. Your quiet grind was the reason you became unshakable. That's how real success works. You don't chase it, you build it, and it finds you when you're ready. So stay low, stay focused, stay disciplined. Cut the noise and embrace the stillness. Stop explaining and start evolving. Don't talk about what you're going to do, just do it. Don't wait for the spotlight. Light your own fire. Let the world wonder how you did it. Let your growth surprise them. Let your success reveal your grind. Because when it does, it won't just be impressive. It'll be unforgettable. Number 6. Work on your dreams without looking for attention. If your dreams mean something to you, you don't need attention to keep going. You don't need people clapping for you. You don't need praise. You need a reason. You need a mission. You need the fire inside of you to burn brighter than the distractions around you. Because real progress doesn't come when you're being watched. It comes when nobody sees you, but you're still doing the work. Most people start with good intentions. They say they want to change. They say they're hungry. But the minute they don't get noticed, the minute they don't feel validated, they slow down. That's how you know it was never about growth. It was about being seen. That's the difference between people who dream and people who build. One is hoping for applause. The other is locked in and doesn't care who's watching. If you really want to achieve something that matters to you, you have to drop the need to be noticed. You have to stop looking around to see who's watching and focus on what you're doing. Because the more you seek attention, the more you give up control. You let other people determine how you feel about your own progress. And the minute they stop paying attention, your energy fades. That's not sustainable. That's not power. That's weakness disguised as motivation. You can't let your drive come from people's reactions. It has to come from something deeper. You've got to sit with your goals long enough to understand why they matter, why you can't afford to waste more time, why staying the same is no longer an option. That's where the real fire comes from. That's where the long nights and early mornings come from. Not because you want someone to praise you for showing up, but because you know what's at stake if you don't. When you're truly serious about building your life, you stop performing for others and start showing up for yourself. You begin to understand that your consistency is more important than any compliments. Your effort means more than anyone's opinions. You stop sharing every step and start putting your head down, because you realize no one needs to understand your process. The people who matter will see it when the results come. The rest, they were never important to begin with. Think about how much energy people waste trying to prove something to others. They post every workout, every achievement, every goal, as if they're trying to convince the world they're serious. But real focus doesn't scream. It doesn't explain. It just works, quietly, day after day, without looking for approval. That's where growth lives, in the silence, in the struggle, in the daily effort that no one sees but you still commit to anyway. The more attention you chase, the less grounded you become. You start to lose sight of your original vision. You start doing things for recognition instead of transformation. And slowly you begin to drift away from the purpose that once lit you up. You trade authenticity for performance. And that's a price you don't want to pay. The world is noisy. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to be known. But very few are willing to be unseen while they get better. Very few are willing to stay unknown while they build. But that's exactly where the edge is. That's where you develop the kind of mindset that can't be broken. That's where you prove to yourself that your commitment isn't based on views, likes, or applause. It's based on your decision to become who you were meant to be. When you keep your head down and do the work without needing attention, something powerful happens inside you. You stop needing permission. You stop asking for validation. You develop self-trust. You begin to rely on your own discipline rather than someone else's praise. You learn how to show up, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when nobody cares. That's how you win, by becoming consistent when there's no one around to reward you. There's a big difference between doing something for real and doing it for show. One is rooted in truth. The other is built on ego. And the ego always crumbles under pressure. But when you work from truth, you can't be shaken. When you build from within, no amount of doubt or silence or judgment can stop you. Because your fuel doesn't run out when attention fades, it grows. You don't need to post about your every move. You don't need to talk about what's coming. You just need to commit, quietly, with full focus, with full heart. You need to grind when it's uncomfortable, push when it's tempting to quit, stay humble when small wins start to show. Because it's not about looking successful. It's about becoming someone who can handle real success when it shows up. Nobody claps for the grind. Nobody celebrates the discipline, but that's okay. Because those are the parts that matter most. That's the soil where the real breakthroughs grow. If you skip that part because you wanted attention, you'll miss everything worth having. You'll build a version of success that's shallow, one that depends on constant feedback to survive. And that kind of success will never bring peace. People might not understand your silence, and that's fine. They might think you've disappeared. They might wonder what happened to you. Let them, because when they finally see what you've built, they'll know why you were quiet. They'll understand that while they were talking, you were working. While they were showing off, you were improving. While they were chasing attention, you were chasing growth. Work on your dreams like your life depends on it, because it does. Not because someone's watching, but because you know where you want to be. You know how far you've come, and you know you're not going back. That kind of mindset is unstoppable. It doesn't flinch under pressure. It doesn't need reassurance every 5 minutes. It just keeps going. You owe it to yourself to become so focused, so grounded, so clear about your path that you don't even notice the distractions anymore. You don't feel the urge to prove anything. You're not waiting for approval. You're too busy becoming who you said you'd be. And that's where real confidence is born. Not from likes or shares, but from keeping promises to yourself. If you're working for attention, the journey will exhaust you. But if you're working from purpose, the journey will change you. And that change is what makes the success worth it. Because it's not just about what you achieve, it's about who you become in the process. That version of you isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It speaks through actions. It shines through discipline. It lives with power. Stay quiet while you build. Stay hungry while they talk. Stay true while they doubt. Because nothing speaks louder than progress that comes from silence. Nothing is more powerful than a person who shows up every day without needing applause. That kind of person can't be stopped. That kind of person wins. So if you're serious about your dreams, stop looking around. Stop checking who's watching. Stop explaining your plans. Start showing up when no one else will. Start working when it's not exciting. Start holding yourself accountable, even when nobody's there to see it. That's the work that changes lives. There is no shortcut. No amount of attention can replace effort. No amount of praise can replace patience. No audience can build your character. That's your job. That's your responsibility. And the more you own that, the faster you grow. The faster you stop waiting and start becoming. The faster you turn ideas into actions and goals into results. The dream isn't just something you talk about. It's something you live for, something you fight for, something you protect from every distraction that tries to pull you off track. And one of the biggest distractions is attention. It looks harmless, but it's a trap. It shifts your focus from the inside to the outside, and that's when your progress starts to suffer. Don't let that happen. Stay focused on your dream, like it's the only thing that matters, because it is. If you keep that energy, if you stay committed with zero need for praise, the day will come when your life starts to reflect the work you put in. Not because you chased attention, but because you stayed the course. Because you never stopped showing up. Because you worked when no one believed in you. That's the kind of win that nobody can take away from you. So do the work. Stay in your lane. Keep your goals to yourself. Trust your process. And let your life become the proof. When you build in silence, you give your dreams the attention they deserve. And one day, your results will speak louder than anything you could have said. Number 7, discipline yourself to grow without seeking praise. Discipline is not about doing something once and getting applause for it. It's about doing it over and over again when nobody even notices. It's about showing up for your goals, even when nobody thanks you, even when nobody says, well done, even when people overlook you. You still show up because you're not doing it for praise. You're doing it because you know who you want to become. You're doing it because you're done wasting time. You're doing it because this life is too short to keep living below your potential. The moment you let go of the need to be praised is the moment you step into your real strength, because now you're not doing it for anyone else. You're not seeking a reward. You're becoming a person who follows through, a person who does what they say, a person who can't be moved by opinions or applause. That's who wins. That's who grows. That's who becomes unshakable. Growth doesn't ask for praise. It asks for consistency. It asks for sacrifice. It asks for focus when the world is pulling you in every direction. It asks for self-control when you're tired, frustrated, or discouraged. You're not always going to feel motivated. You're not always going to feel like pushing forward. But that's where discipline steps in. That's where you do the hard thing, not because it feels good, but because it moves you forward. The people who grow the most are the ones who learn to delay gratification. They don't need a pat on the back for every effort. They don't need to hear good job after every small win. They keep building. They keep showing up because they've built something more powerful than motivation. They've built structure, and structure is what you fall back on when motivation fades. Every time you go to the gym without posting it, every time you wake up early and stick to your plan, every time you say no to distractions, you are sharpening your mind. You are proving to yourself that you can keep going without needing someone to notice. That's real freedom. That's real power. To not be controlled by the outside world, to not depend on praise, to keep your drive alive. The truth is, if you always need someone to notice your effort, you'll always feel empty when they don't. You'll start questioning yourself. You'll wonder if it's worth it. But when your discipline is built on internal standards, you no longer care who's watching. You're not driven by noise. You're driven by results. You're not waiting for someone to clap. You're too focused on improving. This world is obsessed with recognition. People want to be seen doing the work more than they want to actually do it. But recognition without discipline is a trap. It gives you a false sense of accomplishment. It tricks you into thinking that praise equals progress. It doesn't. The only thing that counts is the effort you put in when nobody's looking. The sacrifices you make in silence. The choices you make when nobody will ever give you credit. You have to decide what kind of person you want to be. Do you want to look like you're making progress? Or do you want to actually make it? Because one leads to peace and confidence, and the other leaves you chasing attention for the rest of your life. Real discipline isn't flashy. It's not exciting. It's repetitive. It's tiring, but it works. It slowly builds a version of you that can handle pressure, that can handle delay, that can handle growth without falling apart. Praise can be a dangerous addiction. If you're not careful, you'll start adjusting your behavior based on what gets attention. You'll start chasing what looks good instead of what builds you. You'll avoid hard work if it doesn't come with applause. But the real wins in life don't come with claps. They come with stillness, with clarity, with strength. They come after you've kept going through seasons of silence and kept believing when nobody else did. The strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who did the hard things quietly, the ones who didn't tell everyone what they were doing, the ones who worked through pain, rejection, failure, and doubt, and didn't post a single word about it. Why? Because they didn't need the world's approval. They needed their own respect. And when you live like that, you don't just grow, you transform. Stop thinking you need to announce every step. You don't. You don't need to share every move you make. Not every win needs to be posted. Not every goal needs to be discussed. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is keep your head down, stay consistent, and show the world what discipline really looks like. Steady, focused, and silent. You don't have to be loud to be effective. You don't have to be seen to be valuable. Your worth isn't measured by the attention you get. It's measured by the decisions you make when nobody is watching. And if you can win those battles, the ones behind closed doors, you'll win the ones in public too, because you'll be operating from strength, not from insecurity. The best version of you doesn't need praise. It needs truth. It needs order. It needs direction. And it needs action. You don't become great by being told you're great. You become great by choosing discipline over comfort, growth over validation, purpose over noise. Every single day you stay disciplined. You move closer to that version of you that doesn't need praise to feel good. That version of you has already earned it through action. You have to ask yourself, are you building for attention or are you building for impact? Because impact lasts. Impact doesn't fade when the likes stop. Impact doesn't get shaken by silence. It grows through it. And discipline is how you create that impact. Not one big move, not one good day, but 100 quiet ones. 1,000 steps that nobody sees. That's what builds legacy. That's what builds confidence. That's what builds the life you keep saying you want. Don't get caught chasing compliments. Chase progress. Chase habits. Chase peace. Chase becoming the kind of person you can be proud of when no one else is around. Because praise might feel good for a moment, but discipline builds something that praise never could. Identity. It shapes who you are. It refines your mindset. It keeps you rooted when everything else is changing. Some people will never clap for you. Some people will never notice your effort. Some will criticize your silence, your focus, your discipline. Let them. You're not here for approval. You're here to evolve. You're here to rise. You're here to build a life that doesn't crumble under pressure. And that life is built one disciplined action at a time. You don't need validation to make a change. You need a reason strong enough to wake you up when you want to sleep in. A reason deep enough to pull you forward when your energy is gone. A reason personal enough that you don't care who understands. That's how you build discipline that doesn't die out. That's how you keep going without the praise. That's how you grow into someone who can lead, who can endure, who can finish what they start. Every time you choose to be disciplined, when it would be easier not to, you're showing yourself what you're made of. You're proving that you're serious, that you're not just interested, you're committed. And commitment is rare these days, but it's also powerful. Because when you're truly committed, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop needing motivation. You stop needing others to tell you you're doing well. You already know you are, because you're still here, still pushing, still improving. There's nothing glamorous about discipline. It's early mornings. It's staying late. It's saying no to things that look good, but won't help you grow. It's holding yourself accountable when it's easier to make excuses. It's sticking to the plan, even when the results are slow. But that's exactly why it works. That's exactly why most people avoid it. And that's exactly why it will set you apart. You don't have to feel confident every day. You don't have to feel strong. You just have to keep showing up. You just have to keep doing what needs to be done. Discipline isn't about feelings. It's about decisions. It's about taking control of your life instead of letting it drift. It's about living by standards, not by moods. Because moods change. Standards don't. You've got what it takes. You don't need to be praised to grow. You need to be consistent. You need to be clear about what you want. And you need to keep moving. No matter who notices, the rewards will come. The results will speak. But right now it's not about them. It's about you, your work, your habits, your path. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. About getting up when you fall. About trying again when it's hard. About staying on the path when others give up. That's what discipline looks like. Quiet, unshaken, driven. And that's how you grow. Not once, not when it's convenient, but for the long haul. So forget about praise. Focus on progress. Forget about being seen. Focus on becoming. Because one day when people ask how you did it, you'll be able to say you didn't wait for the world to approve of you. You just made a decision and never stop moving forward. Number 8, keep your hustle private and let wins show up. Most people want to be seen grinding. They want to be noticed for trying. They want to be praised halfway through the race. But life doesn't reward noise. It rewards outcomes. It rewards results. It rewards discipline that stays quiet, works hard, and finishes strong. Keeping your hustle private isn't about being secretive. It's about being focused. It's about not wasting your energy, explaining yourself to people who don't understand the level of commitment it takes to truly grow. When you keep your hustle to yourself, something powerful happens. You stop performing and you start executing. You stop thinking about how your life looks and start thinking about how your life feels. You begin to see that growth doesn't need to be loud. It needs to be consistent. Every day you show up in silence. You build a habit. You train your mind. You strengthen your character. You get used to doing what matters instead of talking about it. The truth is, the more you share your goals with others, the more room you give them to judge, question, or even mock what you're doing. And once that happens, your energy gets scattered. You begin defending your path instead of walking it. You start second-guessing yourself because of someone else's doubt. That's why keeping your hustle private is a form of protection. It guards your energy. It protects your focus. It allows you to grow without interference. You don't need anyone's permission to improve your life. You don't need to tell the world what you're working on. You need to get to work. You need to focus on the task. Focus on the next rep, the next day, the next decision. Growth is built moment by moment. Nobody sees the hours behind closed doors. Nobody sees the battles in your mind. But that's where the game is won. When your hustle is private, your environment becomes quieter. You no longer need to impress anyone. You don't need approval. You don't need validation. You stop chasing applause and start chasing progress. And that shift is where transformation happens. When it's no longer about being seen, it becomes about being effective. When you no longer care about recognition, you finally free yourself to grow without limits. Keeping your hustle private gives you something else that's rare in today's world: peace. Because you're not caught in the loop of proving. You're not waking up every day looking for someone to acknowledge your efforts. You're not attached to people's opinions. You're working for something greater, something internal, something lasting. That's how real confidence is built. Quietly, through actions, through commitment, through time. Think about the strongest people you know. Think about the most successful people you admire. The ones who made something real from nothing. They didn't spend their time telling everyone their plan. They spent their time building it. They didn't post every move they made. They stayed low, stayed focused, and stayed hungry. They let their wins do the talking. Because they understood that success doesn't need to announce itself. It shows up. It speaks through outcomes. It speaks through lifestyle. It speaks through consistency. Talking too much about what you're going to do can drain the very energy you need to do it. It creates pressure. It creates expectation. It traps you in performance instead of progress. The more you talk, the more you need to live up to the image you're creating. But when you stay silent, you stay real. You're not trying to look like a winner. You're trying to become one. You're not performing for a crowd. You're building for yourself. There's power in being underestimated. When nobody sees you coming, you get to move without resistance. You get to surprise them with your work, not your words. You get to build momentum in silence. And when the wins start showing up, people start paying attention. But by then it's too late for doubt to stop you. You've already built the habit. You've already done the work. You've already become the person who follows through. Wins don't lie. You don't have to explain yourself when your results speak clearly. You don't have to defend your choices when your progress proves your point. People may not understand your silence in the beginning. They may wonder where you went, why you stopped sharing, why you pulled back. Let them wonder. Your job isn't to explain your process. Your job is to finish it. Working in silence isn't about hiding. It's about choosing the path of least distraction. It's about valuing your time. It's about knowing that growth is too fragile to be constantly exposed. When you start something new, it's like a small fire. It needs protection. It needs to be fed quietly. Talking about it too soon can kill the spark before it becomes a flame. Every time you make a move without announcing it, you grow stronger. Every time you resist the urge to prove something to someone, you become more secure in yourself. And that self-security is the foundation for long-term success. Because when you know who you are and where you're going, you don't need to keep showing it. You live it, you breathe it, and eventually it becomes obvious. There's a reason real builders don't talk much. They're too busy laying bricks, too focused on execution, too dialed in on the work. Talking is easy, doing is hard. And in a world full of noise, the one who moves quietly becomes a force. Because when the spotlight finally shows up, they're already ready. Their habits are in place. Their skills are sharp. Their mindset is battle-tested. Let the world talk. Let them speculate. Let them wonder. While they're guessing, you're progressing. While they're watching others, you're watching your steps. You're paying attention to the real work. You're not caught in distraction. You're not addicted to attention. You're building something real. And here's what happens when you keep your hustle private. You start attracting a different kind of energy. People don't see you as a talker. They see you as someone who delivers. They respect your presence. They trust your word because you've earned it. Not through posts, not through promises, through proof. The world doesn't need another person telling everyone what they're going to do. It needs more people who simply do it, who finish, who deliver, who show up daily, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when nobody is watching. Those are the people who win long term. And their wins feel better because they weren't given. They weren't faked. They were earned. Privacy gives you freedom. Freedom to try. Freedom to fail. Freedom to restart. When you're not under the pressure of public opinion, you can experiment. You can adjust. You can grow without shame. That freedom leads to mastery. That space leads to innovation. When nobody's watching, you're more honest with yourself. You don't have to pretend. You can be real about your weaknesses, your distractions, your struggles, and fix them. Success built in silence lasts longer because it wasn't rushed. It wasn't forced. It wasn't a performance. It was real. It was personal. It was rooted in discipline, and it was created far away from the noise. The deeper your roots, the stronger your results. And those roots grow in quiet spaces, not in the spotlight. Hustle without noise is the most dangerous kind. Because while others are getting tired from talking, you're building stamina. While they're losing focus, you're sharpening yours. While they're distracted by likes, you're stacking wins. And over time, those quiet wins turn into big ones. Not because you talked about them, but because you earned them. You have to decide what kind of success you want. Do you want the kind that looks good for a moment, or the kind that holds up for years? The kind that needs to be constantly fed with attention, or the kind that feeds you from within? The kind that fades when the spotlight turns off, or the kind that shines regardless? That choice determines everything. When you keep your hustle private, you keep control. You're no longer playing by someone else's timeline. You move when you're ready. You pivot when you need to. You make choices based on your vision, not on someone else's opinion. And that level of control is what gives you peace of mind. That's what makes the journey sustainable. You're not riding highs and lows. You're steady, because your validation isn't external. It's internal. Stop chasing visibility. Chase value. Stop seeking attention. Seek growth. Because attention without growth is a trap. It feels good for a while, but it leads nowhere. Growth without attention, on the other hand, builds something solid. Something you can be proud of. Something that doesn't collapse under pressure. You don't owe anyone your playbook. You don't have to prove anything. Your success isn't up for debate. You don't need approval to get better. You just need to keep going. Quietly, steadily, relentlessly. And when the winds show up, let them speak for you. Let your consistency speak. Let your character speak. Let your life speak. You were not born to impress. You were born to improve. Every day, with every action, in silence, with purpose. And that's where your real power lives. In your ability to shut out the noise, control your space, own your time, and move forward without the need for applause. That's how you win. In private, in peace, in truth. And when the winds come, they won't need an introduction. Everyone will already know. Number 9, respect your journey by keeping it to yourself. The hardest part about success is not the action, but the patience and discipline required to stay committed to the work without seeking external validation. Far too often, we get caught up in wanting to prove something to others, or worse, to ourselves. But true growth, true progress, doesn't need to be broadcasted to the world. It doesn't need applause or recognition. It only needs dedication and time. It's critical that you understand the importance of respecting your own journey. Your journey is sacred. It's personal. It's yours to walk, to shape, and to define. Nobody else gets to tell you how long it should take or how it should look. But the moment you start sharing it too early or too frequently, you begin to cheapen it. You dilute its power. You risk the chance of other people's opinions, shaping what you're doing, distracting you from the path, or worst of all, causing you to doubt yourself when you should be focused on the grind. So why keep your journey to yourself? Because it's your creation, your sweat, your sacrifice, your reward. It doesn't belong to anyone else. Sharing your process too early can invite criticism, confusion, or worse, indifference. People may not understand why you're doing what you're doing, and that's okay. You don't need their understanding, you just need your own. The moment you start explaining yourself, you risk losing the clarity that comes from deep within. You risk stepping away from the heart of your work and getting caught up in justifying it to others. Here's the truth. The world is full of distractions. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone wants to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and when it's going to pay off. But here's the reality. Their timeline is not yours. Your journey is yours alone, and it's built from every decision, every day of hard work, every step forward, even when it feels like nothing is moving. It's all happening. It's all working. But only if you respect it enough to keep it to yourself. You see, it's not the grand declarations or the loud proclamations of your plans that will get you where you want to go. It's the quiet dedication. It's the consistency, the discipline, the resilience that you show when nobody's watching. It's the way you stay true to your course, even when others are questioning whether you've lost your mind or are wasting your time. But this takes patience. The desire to share your journey with the world is powerful. It's normal. It's human. But the real work begins when you decide to silence that urge. It's one thing to talk about the destination. It's another to put in the work that gets you there. And only when you've reached that destination will people truly begin to understand what you've accomplished. This is not about being secretive or deceptive. It's about being intentional with your energy. The energy it takes to move forward is precious. Don't waste it explaining to people who won't understand or who don't care. Focus that energy on what matters. Focus it on getting the results. Because in the end, those results are the proof. They are the only thing that truly speaks for you. It's a tough lesson, but the more you protect your journey, the more respect you gain for it. There's something inherently powerful about not needing others' approval to keep going. It's not about looking for praise. It's about knowing that every day, every small step is moving you closer to where you need to be. And that's a feeling that no external validation can ever give you. It's a self-affirming process. You don't need to shout about your journey. The results will speak for themselves when the time is right. In the quiet of your personal hustle, there's room for reflection. There's time to evaluate where you're going, what you're doing, and why you're doing it. It's in these moments of solitude that the deepest lessons are learned. It's when you have no distractions that the real clarity begins to emerge. You can't get that clarity when you're distracted by others' opinions, by external noise. You can't focus on your inner work when you're constantly explaining it to someone else. So respect your journey enough to keep it sacred, keep it quiet, keep it yours. As you move forward, you'll notice something important. Your journey becomes more focused, more intentional. It becomes less about the outside world and more about the work you're doing internally. The less you speak about it, the more deeply connected you become to your purpose. You begin to trust yourself more, because your validation doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. You are proving your commitment to yourself every single day. This is a game of self-discipline. It's a game of keeping your eyes on the prize, while everyone else is distracted by the noise. Don't fall into the trap of needing validation before you even finish the race. The beauty of success is in the process. The slow grind, the long nights, the mistakes, the corrections, the breakthroughs, and the building of your resilience. All of this happens in the quiet. It happens in the work that nobody sees but you. And that's the real beauty of it. When you respect your journey enough to keep it to yourself, you give it the space it needs to grow. You know your work better than anyone else. You understand the sacrifices you've made. You understand the effort you've put in. Don't let anyone dilute that by turning it into something for others to judge. Protect it, respect it, nurture it. Keep it in your heart, and let it grow until it's ready to show the world what you've been doing. The power of keeping your journey private is that you don't invite unnecessary pressure. You don't need to explain where you are in the process. You don't need to share the struggles you're going through or the doubt that you feel. All of that is part of the process. And that's okay. Not everything has to be seen by the world. Not everything has to be on display. Some of your best work will be done in silence. So what happens when you respect your journey by keeping it to yourself? You'll find that your progress accelerates. You stop second-guessing yourself because you're not looking for external validation. You stop measuring your success based on what others think or what they expect. You stop letting their opinions hold weight. You stop giving them the power to control your narrative. And when you finally reveal your journey, it won't need a loud announcement. It won't need to be validated by others. The work will speak for itself. The results will show the world exactly what you've been doing, and it will be undeniable. That's the beauty of respecting your journey. You don't have to shout about it. You don't have to convince anyone. When the time comes, your results will do all the talking. So keep your journey to yourself. Stay focused. Stay committed. Let the results come when they're ready. And let the world be surprised by the quiet force of your work. Because when you respect your own journey, you honor your commitment. You honor the process. And in doing so, you become the person you were always meant to be. Number 10. Win in silence and let others feel your impact. You don't need a stage to show what you're capable of. The real power lies in the quiet, relentless pursuit of your goals. Too many people think that success is about the applause, the likes, the recognition. But true success, the kind that stands the test of time, doesn't need to make a sound. It doesn't need anyone to know about it until the impact is felt. You don't have to tell people what you're doing. You don't need their permission, and you certainly don't need to make a spectacle of it. You just need to win. Winning in silence is one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal. It means focusing on the work without needing constant acknowledgement. It means putting in the effort, day after day, without needing the world to see every single move you make. You see, the more you talk about what you're doing, the more distracted you become, the more energy you waste justifying your actions. You lose the magic that comes from staying in your lane, focused on the work that matters. The more you talk, the less you do. And the more you do, the less you need to talk. It's not about hiding who you are or playing small. It's about protecting your energy and channeling it where it counts. When you win in silence, your impact speaks for itself. It becomes undeniable. People begin to feel it. Your results are all that's needed to prove the value of your efforts. And it's not about making a big announcement when you finally get there. No, it's about the quiet force that's been building in the background, slowly gaining momentum. The impact that comes from staying true to your vision without being swayed by what others think. This doesn't mean you should retreat from the world. It doesn't mean you stop sharing, stop collaborating, or stop connecting with others. It simply means you don't have to flaunt your progress. You don't have to shout from the rooftops about every step you take. Success speaks for itself. You can keep your focus inward, letting your results be the reflection of your journey. It's about being so secure in your own path that you no longer feel the need to convince anyone that you're on the right one. The world is full of noise. People are talking about their dreams, their goals, and their ambitions. But how many of them are actually doing the work? How many of them are truly focused on creating something meaningful? It's easy to get caught up in the chatter, to get lost in the excitement of telling others about what you plan to do. But that's not where the real work is done. The work is done in silence. It's done when no one is watching. It's done when you're putting in the hours, the effort, and the consistency, even when no one is cheering you on. The problem with seeking external validation is that it takes your attention away from what matters most, the work itself. You can't stay focused on your craft if you're constantly looking around, waiting for someone to notice. You can't keep pushing forward if you're too busy worrying about how your efforts are being perceived. When you win in silence, you take that power back. You don't need validation. You don't need applause. You don't need the world to acknowledge your every move. You simply need to keep moving forward, quietly and consistently, until your success makes itself known. This is where the real power lies. The more you focus on the process and less on the outcome, the more likely you are to succeed. It's not about the quick wins, the instant gratification. It's about the long game. It's about staying committed, working hard, and keeping your eye on the bigger picture. When you do this, your wins will come naturally. And when they do, They will carry far more weight than any boastful declaration could ever hold. People notice success, even if it's quiet. The impact of your actions speaks louder than any words you could say. People will feel your presence. They will see your results, and they will feel the force of your consistency. This is how you build real influence. You don't need to tell people what you're doing. You just need to do it. And when the time is right, your results will show them exactly what you've been working on. The beauty of winning in silence is that it builds momentum. It compounds over time. Every action you take, every effort you make, contributes to the bigger picture, and no one sees it until it's too late. They don't see all the late nights, the sacrifices, the dedication that went into it. All they see is the result. And by then, it's too late to copy it. It's too late to replicate it. Your success will stand as a testament to your quiet, persistent work. The key is to stop measuring your success by other people's standards. Stop comparing your journey to anyone else's. Your path is unique, and so are your results. What matters is that you stay focused on what you're creating. When you focus on the work, the success follows. But when you focus on the attention, the work suffers. Winning in silence means removing the distractions, the noise, and the need for validation. It's about creating something real, something that has lasting impact, without needing the world to notice every step along the way. When you're truly committed to winning in silence, you start to embrace the process of growth. You understand that real success is not about the recognition, but about the transformation that happens within. It's about who you become in the pursuit of your goals. You become more disciplined, more focused, and more capable of handling whatever comes your way. The wins start to feel effortless, not because they are, but because you've done the hard work in silence, day after day, until they show up on their own. Success doesn't come from shouting about it. It comes from the quiet, consistent action that you take, even when no one is looking. When you do this, your impact is far greater than any word or boastful declaration could ever be. Your success becomes a beacon. It shows people what's possible. It shows them what dedication, discipline, and focus can accomplish. And it does all of this without ever saying a word. So keep winning in silence. Let your impact speak for itself. Let your actions and results tell the world what you've been working on. When you do this, you'll find that success follows you. It doesn't need to be announced. It simply arrives, and when it does, it carries far more weight than anything you could have said. This is the real power of winning in silence. Let your results be the loudest statement you ever make.